let's get our page all set up here. Okay, so our learning target today is I can simplify expressions involving exponents and parentheses. Okay. And to start out with, I'm just going to throw out the order of operations, so just so that I have it to reference while we're going through the lesson. So GEMDOS. So grouping. Exponents. Multiply. And divide from left to right. Okay. And then add and subtract from left to right. Okay, so I put that up there just so that we can keep referencing it as we're doing our sample problems. You guys see the news that COVID cases are going up so fast right now? Be safe, you guys. Make sure you're keeping that mask on. Make sure you're staying away from people while you're eating snacks. Although it's probably more likely that you get COVID from what you're doing outside of school. But anyways. What? Yeah, like we're gonna seriously jump a level. I know, it's crazy. Well, and we just had Halloween like a week and a half ago, and so many people had parties and went out. I mean, seriously, there was a raging block party right by our house. They're like, you wanna come? I'm like, no, I don't wanna come. It's like a cesspool for COVID. So we stayed home and had one friend come over with their family. That was it. Yes, Ishan. Yes, so a lot of people did Halloween parties, but the problem is that so many people like had huge parties, and usually when you're doing like a personal gathering, nobody wears masks, and so yeah. Anyways, for a long time I didn't know anybody that had COVID, and now I know a lot of people that have had COVID. So what's that? Oh, really? Yeah. I don't want that to happen here. So stay safe, you guys. I don't want to teach from that desk again. I much prefer to have you guys in your seats with me. I love when you guys are in class. Okay, let's get going. All right. So let's look at an example that has some parentheses and some exponents. Oh, I've already made a mistake. And I want to let you know that the exponents we're dealing with today are pretty straightforward, stuff that you learned in 6th grade. I'm going to spend all class period tomorrow going through exponents that are that deal with the negative symbol, because it kind of is like a whole new ball game. Yeah, Thursday. You're right. Yep, Thursday. Tomorrow, I'm sleeping in, folks. Okay, so let's look through our order of operations here. There's all kinds of stuff happening. You're multiplying, you're subtracting, you have some grouping, multiplication, addition, and subtraction. So grouping is the first thing on the list, and I see grouping right here. Okay, so a lot of times parentheses don't mean grouping, but in this case they do. Okay, so that means I'm going to complete this operation right here. And I'm just going to highlight the whole thing. Okay, now I'm going to keep it and then switch so that I can solve it. So 3 plus -8 is -5. Then I'm going to bring everything down just like it is. Okay. I don't have any exponents. The next thing on my list is to multiply and divide from left to right. Elizabeth.
I'm confused because you let me know the switch thing, but then you do negative again, but it's addition.
It was this.
Yeah, and then you made it addition, which is keep switch thingy, and then you made it subtraction.
Okay. So keep it, switch. So plus a negative.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm so glad you asked, though. Those things are, it's really good to ask and make sure that you get clarity. So thank you for asking. Okay. Now, the next level that we're talking about is multiplication and division. And multiplication is happening here and here. Whenever you have two sets of parentheses next to each other, this means multiplication. And then you have addition and subtraction. So we're going to do the multiplication first, and we do it from left to right. Okay. So the one that is the most left is this one right here. I'm just going to start highlighting the whole operation. I think that's a little bit better. Okay, so I have 5 times -5 is -25. And I'm going to bring everything else down. Okay. I still have a multiplication here. So I'm going to do this one before I do my addition and subtraction. Okay, so -25 times 3 is -75. Okay. Now, yeah, Rhea.
So the 5 times -5, why'd you make it a negative? Is there anything?
5 times -5? Because a positive times a negative is a negative.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Is it not like the big one?
Yes, you're thinking of addition. Yeah. If this was adding, that would be 0, but it's not multiplication. So we have to keep our rules straight, which is a lot. Okay. Good question. Okay, now we're going to get to that last level, add and subtract from left to right. So this one's going to come first. So this is going to be -67 minus 3. And then last of all, okay, I'm going to keep it, switch. So this is -70. Okay. So check it out. That was a lot of steps. Look how big our work triangle is. It's like huge. Okay. And I really want to emphasize how important it is that you are practicing those inner facts and really trying hard to make sure you get them right. Because if you made a mistake like on this part, let's say, and maybe you got like 11 here, it would have messed everything up all the way down. You would have had to go back and fix it and go all the way down. And actually, since you do your work Okay, let's do another example. All right. So we got a lot going on here. I think we pretty much hit every single thing. So we have addition, exponent, multiplication, and subtraction. And we have some grouping here too. So we're going to start with our grouping. We're going to go ahead and simplify what's in those grouping symbols right there. Okay, so I'm going to keep it, switch, switch. So -6 plus -4 is -10. And I'm going to bring everything else down that has not been completed yet. Okay. Now that next thing on my list, we're done with grouping. So now we're going to do our exponent. Okay, so our exponent is right here. You guys know how exponents work, right? So this is basically 2 times 2, which is 4. Tomorrow, or on Thursday, we're going to be diving really deep into exponents, which will be good. Okay, now you have addition and multiplication, and we know that multiplication comes first. So I'm going to highlight this right here. Okay, so 4 times -10 is -40. Okay, and last but not least, we have -7 plus -40. So this is going to be -47. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay, I'm going to give you some practice then. Okay, I am throwing you a little curveball because you're going to get a negative number in here and you're going to have to find out what the exponent is going to be. I kind of did it on purpose just so you can get a preview for tomorrow. Let's see how you do though. Okay, try those problems. more time on these. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, for those of you that are done, check your answers. Okay, so the curveball I threw you is right here. Okay, and I know we haven't talked about this yet, so it's okay if you didn't get it right. But this reduces down to -4. -4 squared. So that's -4 times -4. Be positive 16. Okay? So I knew you guys weren't prepared for that one yet, and that's okay. So if you got that one wrong, it's okay. But just to clarify, remember that -4 squared is -4 times -4, which would be positive 16. Okay, raise your hand if you got them both right. Raise your hand if you got one right. Raise your hand if you got none right. Okay, it happens, you know? This is a learning process. So, does anyone have any questions for me about how I got where I got? Any of these steps that don't make sense to you? Okay, and I make mistakes all the time, so if you see any mistakes ever in my work, just let me know. And even if you think it's a mistake, you're not sure, it's still good to ask. You never know. You'll learn something from asking the question. Okay, so what I'm going to have you guys do now is get some practice in. I want you to start it in class. Actually, I already know what's going to happen. The first problem on your practice is a doozy. So I want you to spend like a minute or two trying problem 1. And then we'll do it together after you guys have looked at it and attempted it. Okay, so start your practice. Here's it. Oh, and here's the table of contents too, so you know where to put everything. So your notes are page 13, and then your practice is page 14. So make sure you're doing your homework on a separate sheet of paper and label what it is, and put it in your binder. Don't forget that you're doing it on a piece of paper showing every step, and then you're putting just the answers into Otis so I can see that you got it. Yeah. They're kind of like, yeah, they're grouping. So you have a lot of stuff happening. Make sure you've done it correctly, because I know that this one is a doozy. Okay. Okay, so number 1, I'm trying to find what I did with my last class? I don't know. Okay. Hold on, let me get number 1 out so I can see what it looks like. Okay. Okay, so it's impossible for me to prepare you for every situation, okay? So that's why practice is super important and checking your answers is super important. But if you look at this problem, you have some grouping going on here. But there's a lot going on inside of the grouping. So when you have that happen, you just look at that part that's in the grouping and then continue on with the order of operations, okay? So you have an exponent, you have addition, and you have multiplication. What am I supposed to do first? The exponent, okay? So I'm going to do this part of my grouping first, okay? And this represents 3 times 3, so this is 9. And I'm going to bring everything else down. Okay, now I still have my grouping symbols. So I'm going to look at what's inside here. There's an addition and a multiplication. I'm going to do the multiplication first. Okay, so -2 times 3 is -6. Okay, I still have those grouping symbols. There's only one operation left inside of them, so we're going to do this. Okay, 9 plus -6 is +3. And then you divide by 5. So when you divide by 5 here, you're going to get either 3/5 or 0.6. Okay, did that make sense, everybody? All right. So go ahead and continue on your homework assignment there. It's really important that you systematically go in order, one thing at a time. Yes, sir. Yeah, basically what I mean by simplifying is getting it down to one simple number. Because you're not solving anything with don't solve with class is almost over, so you guys should probably pack up. Yes, come on. Okay, thank you for asking. Oh, we're going to speak to you on Monday, okay? But would you like your candy? Okay, so I have Starburst, Swedish Fish, I have Sour Patch Kids, and M&M's. What would you like? Oh, of course. There you go, kiddo. You're welcome. okay, we'll sing to you on the last day of school. It might be out. You can use the wall one now. Okay, so wipe your desk first and then come back for hand sanitizer. Wipe your desk first and then come back for hand sanitizer. You're gonna use the one by the door. Okay, so make sure you put your desk down and come back for hand sanitizer. Oh, you're recording.
I don't think she knows that she's recording for 27 minutes. We're just gonna, oh, golly.
Hey, once you wipe your desk, please come back and get some hand sanitizer.
He's fine.
It's right next to the door.
I got a full med kit, not ready. Shut up about the med kit. I have a med kit. From what? From the nurse. Okay. I thought the nurse was supposed to give out ice. I think